There's a piece of plastic buried in the ground beneath some houses right now that cost almost nothing to install, moves no moving parts, and draws zero electricity. It keeps indoor air cool on summer afternoons. It's been used by civilizations for thousands of years. And in modern building codes across North America, it exists in a fog of legal uncertainty so thick that most builders have never even heard of it. This is the earth tube. By the end of this video, you'll understand how it works, why it was abandoned, and whether it can actually save you money, or whether the risks are exactly why the mainstream left it behind. Let me start by being clear about one thing. Earth tubes aren't secret. They aren't banned outright in most places. But they are discouraged, uncommon, difficult to permit, and almost never installed in new construction. Understanding why is more interesting than the technology itself. Here's the core idea. Bury a pipe underground. Run fresh air through it. The soil around that pipe stays at a relatively stable temperature year-round, typically between 50 and 60 degrees Fahrenheit in much of North America, depending on depth and latitude. As outside air, which might be 90 degrees in July, travels through that cool pipe for 30 or 40 feet, it loses heat to the surrounding earth. By the time that air reaches your house, it's cooler, sometimes much cooler, and it costs you nothing to operate. This principle is sound. It's rooted in simple physics, heat transfer, thermal mass, and the stability of underground temperatures. It's not magic. It's not new. What's new is that we stopped using it. For most of human history, this wasn't a choice. Keeping buildings cool meant understanding where cool air came from. Persian architects designed wind towers with underground chambers that drew air down into the earth. The air cooled before being pulled up and into living spaces. Medieval nobles stored ice in cellars because spring houses maintained temperatures low enough to preserve food. Underground rooms in Mediterranean climates stayed cool in summer and provided thermal mass that moderated temperature swings. The earth itself was the technology. Then came air conditioning. Reliable, fast, thermostatic, mechanical. It solved the problem of summer comfort in a way that no passive system could match in extreme heat. And for good reason. In a place like Phoenix or Houston, where outside temperatures can exceed 100 degrees for weeks, an earth tube alone won't keep you comfortable. The earth can't extract heat fast enough, but in places with moderate summers and dry air, or during the shoulder seasons, spring and fall, when outdoor temperatures swing between 50 and 80 degrees, an earth tube can meaningfully reduce cooling loads. And that's where the real value lives. So why don't we see them anymore? The answer isn't conspiracy. It's liability, code ambiguity, and a problem that took engineers decades to fully understand. Moisture. When outside air is warm and humid and it passes through a cool pipe underground, something inevitable happens. The air cools below its dew point, moisture condenses. You get liquid water pooling inside the pipe, which creates the perfect environment for mold, fungal growth, and microbial biofilm. This isn't theoretical. It happens reliably in humid climates. Over time, that biological growth can degrade air quality, cause odors, and turn your passive cooling system into a slow-motion contamination risk. In dry climates, or during dry seasons, this is less of a problem. A properly sloped and drained earth tube with condensation collection and periodic flushing can manage moisture. But in humid regions, especially in summer, the condensation risk becomes serious enough that building departments hesitate to approve them. Insurance companies don't like unknown moisture paths. Inspectors can't easily verify the system is working safely. The liability is real, so earth tubes remain legal but uncommon, permitted only with difficulty. They're often excluded from new construction because the developer's insurance and legal team decided it's not worth the complexity. There's also a simpler reason. Builders and developers profit from selling air conditioning systems, ductwork, and maintenance contracts. Passive cooling is free. It doesn't generate revenue for the construction industry. There's no incentive to promote it, teach it, or fight for code language that would make it easier to install. It simply falls out of standard practice. But it's not illegal. And in the right climate, with proper design and maintenance, it works. Here's how a basic system actually gets built. You typically start with a PVC or HDPE pipe, anywhere from 3 to 6 inches in diameter. Horizontal or gently sloped, buried 3 to 6 feet deep, depending on your region and soil type. The depth matters because you're trying to access the stable ground temperature. Shallower installations experience more seasonal fluctuation. The pipe runs from an intake point on the north side of the house, away from direct sun. It connects to an interior air intake connected to your ventilation or return air ductwork. At the intake, you need a screen to keep animals and large debris out. You need to slope the pipe slightly toward the exit point so that condensation water can drain. At the low point, you typically install a small drain with a trap to collect and remove that water periodically. At the house end, you need a damper. This damper isolates the system when outdoor air is warmer than indoor air. Otherwise, you'd pump heat into the house in summer afternoons. The whole thing might cost $50 to $300 in materials, depending on pipe diameter and length. Labor is the real cost, especially if you're digging a trench through clay or rock. And then there's maintenance. Periodic flushing to prevent biofilm, checking drainage, inspecting for blockages and moisture accumulation. Performance expectations need to be realistic. In a mild spring day when outdoor air is 65 degrees and indoor air is 75 degrees, an earth tube can cool incoming air down to 60 or 62 degrees. That's real thermal benefit. During a hot, dry summer afternoon in a continental climate, it might reduce outside air temperature from 90 degrees to 75 degrees. In a humid subtropical climate during summer, it might reduce 85-degree air to 78 degrees, and you'll have condensation problems. It's not a replacement for air conditioning in extreme heat. It's a supplement, a way to reduce the number of hours your AC needs to run, and reduce the total cooling load it has to handle. Before you install one, you need to check your local building code and permitting requirements. Some jurisdictions have specific language for earth tubes. Some have nothing, which creates a gray area. You need to verify utility lines before digging. You need to understand your soil type and groundwater table. If the ground is waterlogged, the system becomes a condensation and contamination liability. You need to ensure your ventilation system has the capacity to work with the earth tube. And you need to think carefully about climate. Earth tubes work best in places with moderate summer temperatures, low summer humidity, and deep frost lines. Imagine late spring in a temperate region. The sun is warming the air above ground, but the earth is still cool. A homeowner opens a few windows and turns on a simple fan to pull fresh outside air through that buried pipe. The air emerges from the pipe, cool and refreshing. The house stays comfortable without running the air conditioner. The system makes no noise. There's nothing to maintain that day. It simply works. And that quiet, invisible efficiency, that's what was lost when building became professionalized and passive systems were replaced with sold systems. The knowledge never disappeared, but it fell out of practice, and building code caught up to that absence.